Everyone is chasing the next big miracle drug to make them feel good, lose weight, have more energy. But what if the real solution has been hiding in plain sight with tiny little changes you can make every day that'll give you more energy, make you feel great, and you can also lose weight without all the multiple adverse effects that come with every single medication that's out there. They fix one symptom and they tend to have very detrimental effects on anywhere from 30 to 100 harmful effects with all these medications. And now you can do this all very naturally. I'm Dr. Steve Hewlett. I've been a doctor of pharmacy for over 35 years, and now I'm helping people get off diabetic medications, lose weight, and regain their energy through nutrition. I'm also a speaker and an author of the book, Your Plate is Your Fate. So now, in the last 4 years, I've learned something most people aren't told. Real health does not start in a prescription bottle, it starts with the basics. That's why this podcast is built around the good news, NEWSS. That stands for nutrition, exercise, water, sleep, and sunlight. These are the five foundations that your body was designed to thrive on. So if you're tired of chasing those quick fixes and you're ready to truly understand what actually works, you're in the right place because now we're going to talk about each of these individually. And when you do this, there are no harmful effects like there are with prescription medications. The only side effects are all positive, they all make you feel better. So I'm only going to spend a few minutes on each of these topics because with five topics, we're going to go through this pretty quickly. So obviously, I'm not going to go deep into any of them. So the first one is First one's nutrition. Now, remember, when you talk about nutrition, what I've been saying all through all my podcasts are the three pillars of disease is having high insulin, inflammation throughout your body. And when you have high insulin levels continuously and inflammation continuously in your body, like most people do for 20, 30, 40 years, then all of a sudden your blood glucose is going to go up. So that makes the third pillar of disease: nutrition, inflammation, and high blood glucose. So just so you remember exactly the process, what happens is you eat glucose because your body doesn't just automatically make excess glucose. Our bodies are extremely efficient. So the only reason that glucose gives into our blood is because you eat it. That and stress, and we will talk about stress in a little bit, but it's only because you eat it. So obviously, if you stop eating glucose, you'll stop all the rest of what happens after this. So first, you eat glucose. That makes your blood glucose go up. When your blood glucose goes up, that makes your body secrete insulin and your blood insulin level go up. When your blood insulin goes up, it does two things. One, it has you turn all that glucose that you just ate, turn it into fat in the form of triglycerides. Then, while your insulin levels are up, it also affects the fat cells and tells your fat cells to store all that fat into your fat cells. Because remember, high insulin levels, when your insulin levels are high, you cannot burn your fat for energy. All you can do is store it. See? So then when your insulin levels come down low, it's exact opposite. You cannot store fat. All you can do is burn the fat out of your fat cells for energy. And that's the key to all this. That's what you want to do. You want to use fat for your energy source and not glucose like we've been taught to do since our dietary guidelines came out. And that's the key because when you turn all this glucose into fat and then you stuff all this fat, your fat cells become totally stuffed where they can't hold any more triglycerides. When that happens, that single individual cell becomes insulin resistant. So there's nothing wrong with the cell. There's nothing wrong with the insulin. There's nothing wrong with the pancreas. It's just that fat cell is so stuffed full of fat that it can't hold any more. When all these fat cells slowly become totally stuffed, each one individually is becoming insulin resistant. And once you have insulin resistance and the majority of your fat cells, this is when your body has trouble handling glucose again. And this is when your blood glucose goes up. But you're way behind the game in this. It's not too late to turn it around, and you can still get off your diabetic medications and reverse your diabetes, but it's going to take a while to start emptying all those fat cells back out again. So that's the whole process of nutrition. So obviously, the key to this is you want to keep glucose either out of your mouth or keep it very low. You try to control how much glucose you eat. So when I say glucose, what does that mean? Where's glucose come from? Glucose is the basic building block of all carbohydrates. A carbohydrate is a plant, it comes in plant based foods. All plant based foods contain carbohydrates, which means all plant based foods contain glucose, but all in different amounts. Now, and I'm not against God made carbohydrates. If you're going to have real fruit, real vegetables, that's perfectly fine. But please remember to limit that. For example, fruits. Fruit, besides having glucose, they also have fructose. Fructose is the fruit sugar. Then, when fructose gets in, your body doesn't use it. So it goes to the liver and automatically gets turned straight into triglycerides, straight into fat. So anytime you eat fructose, which is in sugar and high fructose corn syrup and in fruit, all that fructose gets turned straight into fat. Think of what bears do when they hibernate. Remember when bears hibernate, they go around, they forage for all the berries around, and they eat all these berries full of fructose. It fattens them up, and now they can go sleep for the winter, and they'll just live off that fat that their body just stored. It does the same thing with us. Now, the other God-made carbohydrates, besides fruits, are the vegetables. And again, I'm not against fruits and vegetables, but do be aware that they do contain glucose. In general, the vegetables that grow above the ground have less glucose than the vegetables that grow below the ground, like potatoes and sweet potatoes. Starch is just basically long chains of glucose. So whenever you eat something like that, starch, that's the storage fuel for a plant. Just like in people and humans, we have glycogen. That's our glucose storage form. And in plants, starch is the glucose storage form, but it's all glucose. So you want to kind of stick to the plants that grow above the ground, especially if you have any kind of glucose issues. And remember, glucose, just like in seeds, grains, they told us in our first food pyramid that came out, there was a marketing ploy just to get us to eat more of their products. But remember, they have your main thing, your main whole pyramid is based off glucose. They want you to eat a lot of glucose. And just think grains. Grains are also that. When you grind down grains to a powder, that becomes flour. Flour is just powdered glucose. That's why when they send cows to the slaughterhouse for slaughter, that's what they do. When you grain feed them, they fatten up because grains are carbohydrates and carbohydrates are glucose. So it's going to do the same thing to you. So again, be aware that there is glucose in all these, but stick to the ones above the ground if you have glucose issues, which almost everybody does. Now, the other type of food, there's God-made carbohydrates, which are fruits and vegetables, and then there's the laboratory-made carbohydrates, the man-made laboratory. It's not made, they aren't grown in a field, they aren't raised in a pasture. This is laboratory-made food. Everything in box, bottle, bag, and can in the center aisles of the grocery store, that's what's killing us because all that food is toxic. It's all made out of glucose, fructose, seed oils, which are extremely inflammatory to your body, and chemicals, which are also extremely inflammatory to your body. So you definitely, everybody needs to stay away from all the box, bottle, bag, and can, all the food that's made in a laboratory. You're not growing potato chips. You're not growing cookies. You're not growing donuts. You're not growing pizzas out in your field. All this stuff is laboratory made. So that's all I'm going to say for the nutrition. So keep your glucose levels low by keeping glucose out of your mouth, which means be careful the type of carbohydrates you're eating. Now, the next one is exercise. And exercise first. Yes, exercise is extremely important for your body. Everybody should be exercising, but that is different amounts for different people. If you are obese and you haven't been working out in a while, do not use inability to exercise as a reason not to lose weight because that doesn't have anything to do with it. What causes you to lose weight is keeping your insulin levels low so you burn the fat out of your fat cells. And remember, keeping your insulin levels low means keeping glucose out of your mouth. So you do not have to exercise in order to lose fat. However, once you do start losing fat, and I've seen this over and over again with our clients, once they start losing fat, and it doesn't take very long, usually within a month, they start losing fat and they have so much more energy, so much clarity of thought that they don't know what to do with all this energy. And that's when I have them start exercising in whatever way is good for them. And we talk about lifting heavy things. But until you actually start losing your fat and you start feeling good and feeling like you have more energy, don't even think about exercising. However, walking is different. Everybody, no matter what, no matter how much you weigh, everybody should be walking every single day because walking is so important for your body. One, it increases your lower body strength. Okay. So you're going to be able to walk, strengthen your leg muscles, and that's going to be very helpful as you get older, because that's a lot of times what happens. People stumble, they fall, they can't catch themselves because they don't have lower body strength, or they don't even have any upper body strength where they can grab something, and then they end up falling down and hitting their head or whatever. So yes, lower body strength is very good. You get that when you walk. It also helps with your balance as you walk, especially if you're walking on something that is not level. If you're going up hills or you're doing steps, it helps you with your balance. But one of the biggest things that walking does is you have a system inside your body called the lymphatic system. And this works just like your blood vessels with your arteries and your veins, except with arteries and veins, you have a heart that pumps them. Okay. So your arteries and veins, they go to every single cell in your body. So does your lymphatic system, every single cell in your body. But the lymphatic system, it doesn't have a heart. It's not able to pump. The way you pump the lymphatic system is by walking. The reason this is important is because your lymphatic system takes all the chemical reactions, that your cells does, all the metabolites that are produced, the toxic metabolites that your body's trying to get rid of, it puts that into the lymphatic system, as well as other things like antibodies and your fat, which is extremely important for carrying that around your body. So if you have all these toxins and these antibodies that have the bacteria and everything in your lymphatic system, and you don't move, you just sit or lay all day long, those toxins will build up and they will leak out and they will get into your body and make you sicker. So just the fact that you walk every single day is going to help you pump that lymphatic system and get these toxins out of your body. And that is key to health. So walking, you don't have to do this strenuous exercise, especially if you've never exercised before. And if you're obese and you've never done it, that's fine. But everybody needs to walk. So now, before I go on, if you are tired of adding more and more prescriptions to your nutrition plan every single year, let's look at a much, much better solution. And we have several options for getting people off their medications. So if you're interested, just click the link below and grab a free 15-minute wellness solutions chat. And we'll let you know what are all the options that we have, anywhere from one-on-ones that we'll do together, or you can go through a self-paced program. But so just click on the link below, get the 15-minute wellness solutions chat, and we see what can we do to help you get to the health that you want to get. So now let's go on to the third one, water. Water is extremely important. Most people walk around in the dehydrated state because there are things that people drink all day long that they think they're hydrating, but really there's things in what they're drinking that makes them dehydrated. It actually makes them pee out more water than they're drinking in. Those three things are glucose, sugar, caffeine, and alcohol. And you think about most people drink all through the day with their fruit juices, their energy drinks, their coffee, their tea. And then they have their soda pops. And then later on, they may have alcohol. All these things, even though you're drinking it, it is actually anti-water. It actually makes you lose more. So what you need to do is you need to actually drink unsweet coffee. Well, not even that. If you're talking about caffeine. So really basically water. And there's flavored waters. Make sure that they're not flavored with sucralose or any of these bad artificial sweeteners. That's just more chemicals your body has to deal with. But you do want to drink water every single day. Now, one thing you don't drink a lot of water when you're eating, because the stomach acid is what helps break down all the food that you're eating. If you dilute that out with a lot of water, then it's not able to digest the food as well as it can when it's in the stomach. So you do want to drink your water all throughout the day, but don't drink a lot right around your mealtime. Let your stomach acid sit there and work on the food that you just ate. The other thing you don't want to do, you don't want to drink your water too close to bedtime, because when you do this, that's going to make you get up in the middle of the night to go pee. So if you want to keep a good night's sleep, might want to stop your water just a little bit earlier, maybe 2-3 hours before you go to bed. So how much do you want to drink? Take your ideal body weight. That's not your actual body weight. So if you weigh 230 pounds, you should weigh 180. Take the 180 pounds, divide that by 2. So that's 90 pounds. And that's the exact same amount of ounces of water you should drink every day. So if your ideal body weight is 180 pounds, you should be drinking at least 90 ounces of water every single day. And don't worry about counting your ounces all the time. The easiest thing to do is get you a water bottle. So if 90 ounces a day is what yours is, depending on what your ideal body weight is, then just get something like a 30-ounce water bottle, preferably a metal one. Get a steel one. But with that water bottle, you'll know that's 30 ounces. So you just have to have three of those drink within a 24-hour period, which is actually easier to do than you think it is. So that's how you do your maintenance fluid. If you drink any of these dehydrating things with glucose, caffeine, or alcohol or pop, you really should replenish the amount of water that you had in that with actual real water, because again, those are going to make you lose more water than you're actually drinking in. So that's how much. As far as how often, don't try to drink all your water right there at the beginning of the day and think you're fine for the rest of the day. It doesn't work that way. Because when you drink a bunch of water, that gets in your blood really quick. Your blood doesn't want all that water in there, so it starts making you pee it out. It doesn't really conserve it like it should. So what you really want to do is just drink little bits all throughout the day. Again, stop around mealtime and also stop a couple hours before you go to bed. But other than that, you should be drinking this all day long. Okay, now sleep. Let's talk about sleep. Sleep is something that people just do not understand how so important sleep is. It's not just a time for you to relax from the day's stress. That is not what it's all about. When you go to sleep, basically, you are tearing your body up all through the day with all the chemicals you come in contact with, all the harmful things that you're putting in your body, the things that you eat, the things you put on your skin. Just there's so many things that are breaking our bodies down during the day. Even exercising. When you exercise, when you're lifting weights, you're not building your muscles, you're tearing your muscles down. And that's what you want, because as you tear your muscles down, now your body comes in and it replenishes muscles and it makes even stronger than they were. That's how our bodies are. When you put it through a stress, it comes through the stress and it comes through stronger. So when you handle that stress again, your body's more apt to take care of it. That's how God made us, and it's a wonderful thing. So use that to your advantage. Okay. And so many things happen while you sleep. So everybody, people who say, oh, I only need 4 to 6 hours of sleep, that is wrong. They may think that, but their body knows better. And eventually that is going to catch up with them. What everybody needs is at least 7 to 9 hours sleep. Basically, you want to have 1 hour sleep for every 2 hours that you're awake. And so that's an easy way to think it. So for a 24-hour day, if for 16 hours you're awake, then 8 hours you want to be sleeping. Now, the other thing that happens when you sleep is there's different things that go on. What happens is your body in the morning, your body starts producing automatically right before you wake up. It starts producing its stress hormone called cortisol. And this is for a reason. This is how God made us. So our body knows that it's been going through rest. It knows it's getting ready to wake you up. And so it releases cortisol, this stress hormone, which kind of puts you in a fight or flight mode. So you're stressed right at the beginning. That automatically dumps glucose, because that's what your stored glucose is for. It's for your fight or flight. It's your stress. Bam, I need energy. I need it now. And that is the only energy your body is supposed to use glucose for. All the other energy, all throughout the day and all through the night, the energy your body uses is supposed to be fat. And you're the one that determines, do you want to use glucose or fat? And it's very easily, if you want your body to use glucose, which is the wrong choice and will lead to severe, all kinds, type 2 diabetes, heart failure, liver failure, kidney failure, everything. When you use glucose for your energy source, you're getting ready to damage your body. And you choose that by what you eat. If you keep carbohydrates out of your mouth, you're going to keep your insulin levels low. And now you're automatically choosing your fat as your energy source, the way God made us from the beginning. So again, it all goes back to keeping your carbohydrates out of your mouth, keeping your insulin levels low so you can keep burning fat for your energy source. So that's what happens is cortisol stimulated in the morning, that automatically puts sugar into your blood. And that's why, if you've ever heard the dawn phenomenon, a lot of diabetics know this, that all of a sudden, for some reason, their glucose is higher in the morning. This is why. It's no mystery. Your body does this because it wants you to be able to get up and out of bed and moving. That's what it's there for. So you get up and start moving, going on with your day. So that's why cortisol is released in the morning. And then cortisol, it's released, starts around usually 3 or 4 o'clock at night. And then all of a sudden it starts increasing. You get out of bed, it increases all the way up until towards the evening, and then it switches. And I'll tell you why, but it switches and it starts producing melatonin. Now, melatonin does the exact opposite. That's the hormone that your body produces that causes you to actually go to sleep. And just curiosity note, melatonin, your body only produces about 1 milligram of melatonin. That's all it needs. So when people are taking this 3, 5, 10, 20 milligrams of melatonin, that is inappropriate. That is wrong. And you're going to have all kinds of adverse effects when you do that. There's no reason. And that's what drug companies do, just like with the GLP-1s. They think, oh, a little does a little good, so a lot does a lot of good. And that's where you get all the horrible adverse effects that you get with everything. So remember, your body only produces 1 milligram of melatonin. You don't need all the melatonin that everybody keeps putting in them. So when you wake up, you have your cortisol stimulated, and that gives you glucose in your body. And so this is a good time to get out in the sun. As the sun's coming up, that's a good time to get outside and walk. So again, you're walking for your lymphatic system and everything else we were just saying. But also by walking, you get the sunrise. And as the sun starts coming up, it affects your eyes. It goes through your gland in your eyes. That all of a sudden it sets your circadian clock, your circadian rhythm. And your body runs on a rhythm. Just like I said, cortisol in the morning, that helps you get up. And then melatonin at night helps you go back to sleep. Then cortisol in the morning, and then melatonin again. So it's a circadian rhythm that you fall into. And it's best to stick with that rhythm, and that's going to help everything else. And again, that's also why in the morning, when your cortisol, your stress hormone is up, your glucose is up, that's a great time to exercise. So really having a good night's sleep at the end of the night all starts in the morning. If you can get up, walk out in the sun, let the sun set your circadian rhythm, as well as other things we'll talk about here pretty soon, and you exercise, then now you've used that cortisol that you've been using. It's going to help lower that glucose in the mornings because you're going to use that for your muscles, and you're going to sleep better that night. So the other thing with night, remember I said that, so that's cortisol in the morning, melatonin at night. Another thing that blocks melatonin or really makes it where it gets secreted in varying amounts is blue light. So that's why you do not want to have blue light in your eyes at night when you're trying to go to sleep, because this decreases the amount of melatonin that your brain is producing. So blue light, that means anything watching a television, looking at your phone, looking at a computer screen, all of that is blue light. And all of that, when you do it at night, it affects your melatonin and you're going to have a worse night's sleep. So if you're having trouble sleeping, you want to make sure you don't have any blue light. Don't be watching television, be on your phone or be on the computer at night before you go to bed. And you might want to give yourself a couple hours before you go to bed. This would be a good time to read or to write down your goals for the next day. And we'll talk about that also. So that's one thing. Another thing you can do at night to take up that time so you're not on your phone is get ready for the next day. This is a good time to plan out what food you're going to eat the next day. It's the time to plan out what you're going to wear the next day. If you have anything stressors that's been on your mind or goals, write those down on a piece of paper. Even if you keep your notes in the phone, do that the next morning. But at night, write your thoughts down on the paper, because if you can write your thoughts on your paper, and if you can start thinking about solutions to any issues, any problems that you're having, that's a perfect time to do that. One, you write it on paper so you don't have the blue light, but two, you get it out of your head so you're not just sitting there and having the same thoughts go over and over and over in your head. So it keeps you from sleeping. The other thing that when you do that, and a lot of people have found that if you write these problems down at night, a lot of times while you dream, a lot of times you may come up with answers to some of those problems. So these are just some good things that you can do at night. So you're staying away from the phone, staying away from the computer, stay away from the television, but you're also getting everything ready for tomorrow so you can get all that stress out of your head. So again, this is going to help with a good night's sleep. But the main thing that you want your sleep for is because this is when your body does all the repairing. Like I said, during the day, your body's tearing itself down. At night, your body repairs itself. And I've already done podcasts on this, just on is sleep important, but it goes through each of the phases of sleep, the deep sleep, light sleep, and the non-sleep periods and all this, and the rapid eye movements, the REM sleep. There are very important things that your body heals at each of these stages of sleep. So this also, what happens is when you lift weights, your body's actually getting torn down, and then it builds itself back up with the nutrients that you eat through the day And then also at night when you sleep, because this is when your body secretes growth hormone. And this is what's helping all your muscles repair, helps everything regenerate. This also, since you're sleeping, hopefully that means you're not eating also. I know a lot of people get up in the middle of the night and eat, and I would definitely got to learn how to stop doing that, because that is just keeping you sick. So when you are sleeping, you're not eating glucose, so your insulin levels stay low. So at night, when you're sleeping, is actually when you're burning a lot of the fat out of your fat cells. So the longer you can go the next morning without eating, and that's why a lot of people can go. I usually eat my first meal around 2 p.m. and I'll have one around 2, and then I'll have another meal at 6, and then I'm done. And I'm never hungry because I use fat for my energy source, and I always have fat on my body to be able to use for energy. And that's a very important thing to do. So your body repairs itself at night. This will increase things like growth hormone that keeps your insulin low. It burns fat out. And just like I said earlier with the lymphatic system, how walking is so important because of your lymphatic system that pumps all the toxins out of your body. Your brain has what's called the glymphatic system, and it does the same thing. While you sleep, all the chemical reactions that have been going on in your brain, they all make little metabolites that need to be gotten rid of. So when you are asleep, the glymphatic system is stimulated, and that helps clear all these toxins out of your brain. So again, you'll be able to wake up with a good energy. Your brain's clear, your body's clear, it's been healed. So sleep is extremely important. Everybody needs to prioritize their sleep. Now, the last one is sunlight. Sunlight, we've already talked about the importance of sunlight as far as circadian rhythm. It's the sunlight hitting your eyes that makes you switch over in the morning as the sun's coming up from melatonin over into cortisol. And the exact same thing at night. If you can watch the sun set, be actually outside watching the sun set, that helps your circadian rhythm because you switch over from cortisol over to melatonin, and that's going to help you get to sleep at night. So sunlight has everything to do with our circadian rhythm. Sunlight also helps with vitamin D, and we all know how important vitamin D is. We learned a lot through COVID that most people are actually vitamin D deficient, and that there's a lot of reasons for that. It's because we've been told sun is horrible. It's going to give you skin cancer and melanomas and all these things. That's if you burn. Don't burn, but you've got to get out in the sun, and don't put all these chemical laden toxic sunscreens all over your body. It's just chemicals that your body does not want, doesn't need, and you don't need it. So be smart. Don't stay out in the sun till you burn, but stay out long enough for you to get all the wonderful benefits that the sun does. And that's what we'll talk about. And some of these, like I said, sunlight on the skin, that's what's helped you produce vitamin D, which is extremely important for a lot of things, including bone health. It's overall health. Vitamin D, they're finding that it's in so many things. It also, when you're out in the sun, that stimulates your melanocytes. Those are your little tan cells. Melanin, when you stimulate the melanocytes in your skin, that breaks out and it puts melanin into your skin. And that's that dark. That's what makes you dark and tanned. And that's good. That's what you want. You want to stimulate the melanin so you get dark, don't burn. But then as you go in and out of the sun day after day, or week after week, all of a sudden you're going to start getting more and more tan, and that's going to allow you to stay out in the sun longer and longer so you can get all the extremely healthy things about the ultraviolet rays. Now, as far as the ultraviolet rays that you get, there's ultraviolet rays, and this is, again, you don't want to burn. The ultraviolet rays, you don't want to burn because that's going to change all this. So be smart about this. But there's UVA and there's UVB. Those are different ultraviolet rays. UVA, that's what's used. It goes down, it goes deep into the dermis, the outer layer of your skin. And this is the one that's usually, they say that this has to do with increasing aging and also cancer. But again, this comes from when you burn, not when you're just out in the sun normally. And just think about it. People have all been living since the beginning of time out in the sun. We just started having all these chemical sunscreens recently, just like all the other chemicals that we're putting in our bodies that's killing us. So be smart, be like our ancestors did. Don't be out in the sun until you burn, but do be out in the sun until you can get a tan. This is going to help with tanning, don't burn. And also the UVA, they also trigger what's called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a chemical your body releases that it automatically causes your blood vessels to dilate. So it's your natural antihypertensive. So just being out in the sun could lower your blood pressure and has been shown to do. The other ultraviolet light is UVB. And this is one that's actually with burning of the skin. This is the ultraviolet ray that causes that. But again, you need ultraviolet B rays, the UVB, because this is what stimulates the vitamin D. And it also helps a lot with psoriasis and atopic dermatitis, all these other skin conditions. Those are actually healed by UVB. And vitamin D, the vitamin D, again, this is from UVB, and that's what supports your bone, your muscle health, immune function, all these things. So again, all these rays are very good for your body. Just don't burn. That changes everything. The other rays that are in sun are infrared rays. And infrared rays that you get, these are the ones that increase your blood circulation and again, help stimulate nitric oxide, which causes your blood vessels to dilate. So you want to be able to increase your circulation. They've also, a lot of studies have shown that just infrared rays help with reduce your pain levels. It also helps with things, inflammation like osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, musculoskeletal pain, all these inflammatory mediators or inflammatory situations. They found that infrared actually helps with that. So when you hear people talk about red light therapy, this is the kind of stuff they get. So red light, you don't need to buy a red light for red light therapy. Just get out in the sun and you're going to get everything you need because that's, again, the way God made us. And then also these infrared rays have also been shown to improve our mood and also improve your cognition. So you think clear, you think quicker, and it just helps with your overall well-being. And it reduces your drowsiness. When you're out and you're walking around and you're out in the sun, that makes you feel more energized. And what they found with this is that it actually is helping people's brains. So they're finding that people, they have improvements in dementia, and a lot of their cognitive impairment studies have shown that just being out in the sun increases the way your brain works and it processes things. Remember the good news: nutrition, exercise, water, sleep, and sunlight. And I guarantee if you can get out and get all those things, you will not need any of these toxic prescription medications that treat just one symptom and have all these harmful effects, anywhere from 30 to over 100 harmful effects on almost every single medication that's out there. So avoid the medication, skip the medication, and prevent the medication by getting out and having the good news. So that's what I have for today. So until next time, stay nourished and stay well.